What do you think, Harry?
Well, for me, I think it's Steve Sarkisian. We just literally listened to him say that his team is the deepest it's been since he's been the head coach there. And the expectations for him is to have the ability to win a national championship, and they have a roster to do so. So if that's the height for the Texas Longhorns program, then I'm going with Steve Sarkisian. They're too deep at the quarterback position. They have 4 starters on the offensive line. They replaced their 3 top receivers with 3 new good ones. Defensively, you have players that made splashes last year and played a small role that's going to play a huge role this year on the defense. So I'm going with the Texas Longhorns and Steve Sarkisian.
You are correct, sir. Yes!
All right, Harry Douglas, you're not one of those blithering idiots at ESPN after all, with that Texas take aging well. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Quinn Ewers being determined to win an SEC championship for Texas. Remember, the winner of the SEC championship game automatically gets a spot in the college football playoff. Right now, Texas is currently favored to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Who will win the SEC championship game? Georgia or Texas? I've been going back and forth on this. I've been thinking about this all week long, but I am going to go with Texas to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Texas has seen everything that Georgia is going to do schematically against them. We all know that Georgia's defense is elite and that they can play football at a high level. Jalen Walker is one of the best pass rushers in the country. I remember the first time they played against each other, Quinn Ewers had the worst game of his career. He got bum rushed all night long. He made poor decisions with the football in his hands. He took too many sacks. He threw too many traffic balls. And obviously, he did not make good reads whatsoever. He looked extremely uncomfortable in the pocket. Quinn Ewers did not have a good game for Texas the first time they played against Georgia. And as a result of that, that's why Georgia beat them by 15 points in their own stadium. I understand that Carson Beck is a terrible quarterback for Georgia, but with the way how Georgia's defense is constructed in general, it really doesn't matter how Carson Beck plays at the quarterback position. Carson Beck has been getting carried all year long. Obviously, Georgia is in the championship game because of their defense, running game, and coaching. It's not because of quarterback play. Carson Beck is the reason why Georgia is in the position that they're in. That's why Georgia has 2 losses this year, even though you look at their roster and you're thinking, man, this team should be undefeated. They should be like Oregon because they're stacked at running back, they're stacked at wide receiver, they're stacked at offensive lineman, they're stacked at tight end, they're stacked in the entire defense. The only weakness that Georgia has on paper is the quarterback position. As for Texas, I was hoping Quinn Ewers would do more than what he has done this year as well. I've been a little disappointed in Quinn Ewers. I can't lie to you guys about that. I wanted Quinn Ewers to do more at the quarterback position this year. I was hoping that he would become a Heisman Trophy candidate, but he hasn't had that kind of season. I know he's had a good year for most people's standards. He's definitely a top 25 quarterback in college football. I know Ohio State wishes they still had Quinn Ewers at the quarterback position because he certainly is a better quarterback than Will Howard, but Quinn Ewers has not stepped up and become the best player in college football like he should be, because Quinn Ewers has incredible arm talent. Quinn Ewers has amazing accuracy. Quinn Ewers in that second quarter against Texas A&M was throwing dimes. He was throwing that 44-yard bomb pass downfield at the beginning of the second quarter. It was pretty amazing to see. You also look at how he threw that touchdown pass to Jaydon Blue. That was an absolute dime. But obviously, second half, Quinn Ewers was not good against Texas A&M, where he throws the pick six and then he also fumbles the ball. They can't have Quinn Ewers turn it over in the red zone as well. I think it's going to come down to whoever doesn't lose them the game first at the quarterback position. Quinn Ewers has to make sure that he can protect the football at a high level and that he must not take critical sacks at the wrong moment. And if you're Georgia, you got to hope that Carson Beck can fix his interceptions issue, because if Carson Beck starts throwing picks, they're not going to get lucky like they did last time, where Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions and still managed to come out of the game victorious. If you're Georgia, you got to be able to run the football, establish the line of scrimmage early, and you got to get Nate Frazier the football early and often, knowing that Carson Beck is a time-ticking bomb when it comes to making turnovers. Obviously, if you're Texas, you want to be balanced as well. You want to be able to play time possession. You want to be able to have a very good offensive line where you can establish 3 to 4 yards of run, where you can just keep Georgia off the field and make Quinn Ewers do less. Less is more with Quinn Ewers. The less you make Quinn Ewers throw, the more effective he will be. I think Quinn Ewers will have an effective game, but he's going to have to work for his yards, and I believe Texas is going to get the job done. I also want to talk about how Carson Beck is not not all in on football as well. When a reporter asked Carson Beck about what he thought about the Texas versus Texas A&M game, Carson Beck confessed to not even watching football. I found that to be a major red flag in his draft stock. I also don't like the mentality Carson Beck has for a guy that will soon be playing professional football in 2025 and beyond. I found his response to be incredibly disturbing. Roll the film.
With the way the schedule worked, you got to sit there and watch Texas A&M on Saturday night. Was there anything, that stood out to you, maybe that was different that you picked up from watching Texas's defense?
Yeah, well, I don't watch football, so I know that sounds kind of crazy, but no, I don't really enjoy watching football. It's not fun for me. I watch film, so I'll explain for a second what I mean by that. So if I watch that game, I'm not just going to be able to sit there and enjoy it. I'm going to stress myself out the whole entire time. I'm watching the defense. I'm like, okay, why this coverage on this down? I'm like, well, why did he throw it there against this coverage? And I mean, but you can learn from watching it, but no, it's stressful for me because I don't ever give myself a break whenever it comes to football. But I mean, I've watched the film back, obviously now afterwards, knowing that we're going to be playing Texas in the SEC championship. But no, I mean, their defense is really good. They have a lot of talent on defense, and their defensive coordinator does a good job at putting them in good positions to execute and play at a high level. So just excited for the opportunity to play them again.
You serious?
Well, it looks like Carson Beck is completely serious with the answers that he is providing, and that is not a good thing for Georgia fans to be listening to. Carson Beck admitted that he doesn't really have fun watching football games. When you have a quarterback like that, it is very hard to rally around said quarterback, and you're going to be able to win at a high level. I know Georgia has been able to do that this year, but that's because they have amazing recruiting classes. That's because their defense is amazing, their running game is amazing, and of course their passing game is excellent as well, just because of the weapons that they have. It's not because Carson Beck is actually a good quarterback, but like I said, this game is going to come down to whoever doesn't make more mistakes at the quarterback position. I also love what Steve Sarkisian has said about what Texas is going to do against Georgia. Obviously, he understood what he did wrong in the first game against Georgia. I believe he's going to correct those mistakes the second time around. They're not going to have Quinn Ewers throw 40 plus times. There's just not a winning recipe against a defense as good as Georgia's, and obviously he wants this game to come down to Carson Beck. Make Carson Beck win this game for Georgia. Don't let Carson Beck be a bus rider. Let him be a bus driver. What I mean by that is Carson Beck has to go out there and actually execute real throws like a real quarterback should. If he does that, well, then Georgia's going to have a shot to win. But I don't believe Carson Beck is going to go ahead and do that because Carson Beck is not that good of a quarterback. Carson Beck is going to be mistake prone. I believe Quinn Ewers will only turn over the ball one time. Carson Beck will turn over the ball 2 times. That's going to be the difference in this game. I got Texas winning this game by the score of 21-16. It's going to be a hard-fought win, but ultimately Quinn Ewers will have one more efficient drive compared to Carson Beck. That's why Texas is going to end up being SEC champions in the first season of existence in the SEC. I'm excited to see what Texas football can do. I said Texas was going to be 11-1 by this point of the season before the year started. Obviously, I was proven dead right, and they're going to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. They're going to get a first-round bye in the college football playoff. I don't know about you guys, but if you're a Texas fan, you have to be incredibly excited about the potential possibility of that. Using quarterback runs for Arch Manning will also help as well. Use Arch Manning in some wildcat sets. Just throw off different looks for Georgia in the SEC championship game. If you do that, then you got a good shot to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. I believe in Texas. They're going to get the job done. So that is why Texas will win the SEC championship game, as they will beat Georgia by the score of 21-16. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I'm gonna shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.